When I was working as a reporter at KSL Television, it was a very fun job, and that's the only way people could get news was television at night, newspaper and television. So most of the people in the state watched television, and KSL was the #1 rated TV station, and so everybody in the state knew who I was, and it was a lot of fun. Plus, it was a fun job. It was fun to find stories and report on them. And so all the reporters, or a lot of the reporters in Salt Lake, got nicknames. There was one guy that was called Twist and Shout. There was another guy that was called Dr. Death. There was another guy that was called the Reverend. There was another guy that was called Dr. Yates because he covered political stuff. And so there was another lady that was called Electra. I'm not sure what that was about. But everybody, they kind of had nicknames for reporters. So it was kind of fun. It was a fun thing. I think it came out of basketball because like Karl Malone was the mailman and Derek Dawkins was the Iceman. And, you had names like that for people. But anyway. And so I one day was in my office and I got a call from a guy, and he lived in the small town of Wales, Utah. So Wales is a little tiny town in central Utah. It's a suburb of a town called Moroni, which is a suburb of a town called Nephi. So we're talking pretty small towns there. And so he called me up and he said, hey, my ward, this kid that I am taking care of, he goes to school at San Pete Middle School, and that was in Moroni. And he said he came home from school today and he told me that the vice principal beat him up. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, he said that the vice principal threw him against the locker and hit him a couple of times. And he said, I don't think that's right. And I said, that's kind of sketch. Let me call you back. So I got the number and called the San Pete Middle School in Moroni. I talked to the principal and I said, I got this guy who called and he claims your vice principal beat up his kid. And he said, well, yeah, he did. He said the kid was mouthing off and he deserved it. I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, And I said, do you mind if we do an interview for you about this? And he said, sure. So I called back the man in Wales and I said, can we come and talk to you and your son? He said, sure. So we got in our little news car. It's labeled, KSL Television, a little white Ford Bronco. And the photographer and I, we drove, I think it was about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive to the small town of Wales. And there's not a lot in the town of Wales. It's a little farming community. So we got there and we found they lived in a trailer, and we interviewed this man and his son, and they talked about how they thought this was wrong. And so then we went to the San Pete Middle School and we interviewed the principal, who told us that the kid deserved it. And I put together a story. So in the more populated parts of the state, it's not too common to, throw kids against the locker and slug them a couple of times when you're the vice principal. And so it made for a good story. It was good journalism. And I thought it was a good story. They showed it on our early news and they showed it again on our 10 o'clock news. So just after the 10 o'clock news, I got a call from one of our reporters, Dave Schmertz, and he said, hey, this lady called us. He said, were you in the town of Wales today? And I said, yeah, I was. He said, well, this lady called and said that you stole her daughter's dog. I said, what? Said that she called and she claims that you stole her daughter's dog, so give her dog back. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so he was kind of teasing me that I had somehow stolen this dog, So I said, well, give me the lady's number, and I'll get to the bottom of this. So I called this lady and I said, hey, I'm Robert Walls from KSL. And she said, oh, we know who you are. And we don't think that's very funny around here. And this dog was like a baby to my daughter. She loves this dog. And how dare you come into this town and steal my daughter's dog? So I was like, oh, ma'am, I didn't see your daughter's dog and I didn't steal your daughter's dog. I don't really like dogs that much and I wouldn't steal one. I assure you I didn't steal it. Well, we're going to go to the sheriff. And, if you don't bring this dog back immediately, we're going to go to Channel 2. And so that was her big threat. She was going to go to the competition and expose me as a dog stealer. And I said, well, I don't know what the story is, but I don't have your daughter's dog. And so I thought, that's kind of strange. So I went to bed and the phone rang at about 6 o'clock the next morning and woke me up. And it was this young girl. And she said, hi, I live down the street. She said, I was wondering if you would like to breed your basset hound with my basset hound and we could make some money. And I said, I don't have a dog. And she said, oh, I thought I saw a basset hound around your place last night. And I said, no, I don't have a dog, So I got up and got ready, and I thought, how bizarre, that she thinks she could, like, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, great. I just came into a Basset Hound. I don't know what she was thinking. So I went into work, and the phone rang, and I answered, and it was this same girl. And she said, hi, I'm the girl who called this morning. And she said, I'm sorry I lied, but I want my dog back, and please just give him back. And, I don't have a lot of money, but I'll pay you whatever I have because I love my dog. And she was just crying and sobbing. And so I was saying, look, I'm sorry. I said, I can see that you love your dog. I said, but I didn't take your dog. I didn't see your dog. I didn't steal your dog. I don't like dogs, and I particularly don't even like Basset Hounds, but I didn't take your dog. And so something, is awry here. And she said, well, my neighbor said that he saw you steal my dog. And I said, well, your neighbor's a liar because I didn't see any dog there, and I was in the town of Wales, but I didn't see your dog, and I didn't steal your dog. And she said, well, he says that he took a picture of you stealing my dog. And I said, well, I'm anxious to see those pictures develop. That's back when we used to have to develop film. I said, because your neighbor's lying to you because I never saw a dog and I never took a dog. And she said, well, can I come to your house and look? I said, well, no, I think that you're a little bit crazy, and so I'm just afraid to have you come to my house because I don't know who you are. And so she said, okay, but, please give my dog back. And I said, I don't have your dog. I'm sorry. And so I thought, this is really strange, and so I did my story for the day, and I came home from work, and my wife said, something really weird happened today. And I said, what? And she said, I looked out the front window, and there was a car in front of our house, and there was a girl, and I think she was going through our bushes. She said, I think she went in our backyard. And I said, oh my goodness, this is getting more and more bizarre. And so, this girl had come all the way from the town of Wales to go through. And so I started worrying, what's she going to do? Is she going to kidnap one of my kids and hold him ransom for this dog that I don't have? And so I thought, where's this thing going to go? And so I thought, maybe I better call the San Pete County Sheriff's Office, because I'd had interaction with them as a reporter, and find out what he knows about these people. Should I be worried? Are these dangerous people? Are they hillbillies? What have I gotten into here? So I called the sheriff's office, and I talked to one of the sergeants, and I said, this is Robert Wallace from KSL Television. He said, oh, we know about you, mister. And when that photo comes back, believe me, we're going to press charges, because we don't take this kind of stuff lightly out here. You might in the big city, but we don't find that very funny, and so we're going to press charges when that photo comes back. And he hung up on me, and so I was just like in total bewilderment, because I had been accused of something that I hadn't done, and I had no way to prove that I was innocent. And so I thought, what's the penalty for stealing a dog? If I get prosecuted, you go to jail, and how do I prove that I didn't do it? And so then as the night went on, I thought to myself, well, maybe I did steal that dog and I just can't remember it. And so I called the photographer and I asked him, did I steal a dog while we were in Wales? And he said, no, you didn't steal any dog, And so I was just very unsettled about this, because when you're accused of something and you can't prove your innocence, it's really hard to do. It's really hard to think about. And so it made me think of people who are charged of crimes that they didn't commit, how devastating that must be. So the next morning I went into work, and there was a voicemail message on my phone, and it was this girl, and she said, hi, I'm the girl from Wales. She said, you know that neighbor who said he saw you steal my dog? Well, he shot my dog, and he blamed it on you to try and hide it. And she said, I'm so sorry for any inconvenience. So at first I was kind of angry, but then I just felt really sorry for this poor girl. She's a young teenage girl who loved this dog like it was her baby, and, calls this mysterious, thinks this mysterious person from television news came to town and stole her dog, and then came all the way, drove 2 hours to my house and looked through the bushes and 2 hours back, and then to find out her neighbor killed the dog had to be emotionally devastating for her. And so, I'd been telling everybody at work about this as the story went on. And so I was telling the assignments editor, I said, I should find out this guy who shot the dog and call him up and tell him off, because he's really injured me here and he's injured her. And he said, well, what do you know about this guy? And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you know that he has a gun, and you know that he'll shoot dogs, and he knows who you are. So maybe you don't want to get any more involved. So I just kind of let it go. But the residual thing that came from that was that the nickname that I received on that was the Dog Napper of Central Utah. So for many years, that was the nickname that I had at KSL. They shortened it to the Dog Napper. And so instead of using my name like on the storyboard, it would say Dog Napper. And so they'd say, well, who's doing that story? The Dog Napper. And so that was my nickname for many, many years. And so I kind of enjoyed that nickname. But I learned through that false accusations are really difficult. And sometimes when you're accused of doing something that you didn't do, it's got to be devastating. And proving yourself innocent is somehow hard to do. And the other thing I learned is that I really don't want a dog.